Can I ask a tangented question off the Extreme Rules road?
Yes.
Who do you both think now? Just putting it out there. Who's Brock's WrestleMania opponent?
Roman, probably.
That's a good guess.
No!
if you ask me for right now, if he's working, I would say Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, maybe. It all depends, right? Because you look at Roman is likely, The Rock is likely, and possibly on top of that, whoever wins the Rumble, which many would argue is Cody, right? So let's take that off the table. Imagine there's still one title. There is only a few options for Brock, bearing in mind that Brock doesn't want to work with anyone he doesn't want to work with, right?
Exactly.
So it's either Lashley is feasible.
Mm-hmm.
He does actually have unfinished business with Drew, and I would like to see them have something more than what they had, because I know they could. I know they could have like a good 10, 12-minute car crash, like just going at each other, instead of that stupid finisher fest they had when Drew first won the belt. That pissed me off. So you could do that. I still have a great interest in seeing Brock beat the fuck out of Riddle. just because of like the same reason I would watch Riddle and Goldberg, because I'd be fascinated at what happens. Like, do you know what I mean?
I actually have
the backstory.
I have a match, and I think this is feasible to happen. And I think if it happened, people would lose their fucking mind. I think Brock and Gunther could be the match.
That's what I'm saying. That needs to be the match. That needs to be the match. Like, I just don't know if Brock is gonna be clamoring to get chopped around by Gunther. You know,
I mean, you get John there talking about Brock and Bray as a possibility. I don't think Bray would work very well with Brock. I don't think that, you know, Brock's someone who needs to be like, this is a fight, as if we're like out at the, you know, outside the pub at 3 a.m. This is a fight. And I don't think Bray's that kind of guy. But I think if you get him with Gunther, he would, you know, it would be so good.
I think Brock and Gunther could be real magic. But as much as I've grown to, like, you know, love Brock, and there was a time, you know, we were talking about Sheamus earlier. There was a time when he was a babyface many moons ago that I was like, fucking hell. Like, it was, do you know what I mean? I was just like, mate. And he even said it when we were in our interview, didn't he, Kenny? He was like, everyone wanted me to go away. Like, he knew it. I had that same feeling with Lesnar, I think, after 34 WrestleMania, where everyone was like, we're just getting tired of this, man. You just turn up and beat everyone and fuck off. Like, everyone was getting annoyed. But I kind of turned the corner on him. But there is still that lingering part of my mind that remembers that Dean Ambrose was like, or Moxley was like, all of these things we can do, Brock. And Brock was like,
yeah,
that just hangs in my mind, where he's like, we don't need to do all that shit, you know.
But then, like in my mind, I always think about the idea that, like, Brock's not booking the show, right? Brock doesn't really care. He's just like, I'll fight who I fight. When the Samoa Joe series that summer in 2017, like, I think he cares
a little more than we anticipate.
Yeah,
I mean, look at his performance in the 2020 Royal Rumble. Like, that amazing performance.
That was amazing.
Even the way with Keith Lee comes in, oh, big boy, you know, like, so good.
But him and yeah, man. But him and Heyman, like, helped write that Rumble, when you could tell, right? Because they were like invested in what they were doing. I think, you know, that you've had a couple of these years where you look at the AJ Styles at Survivor Series and the Bryan and the Ballas, and like there was a host of people that he worked with that you could tell that he wanted to work with.
Is there an argument with Brock that, like, are we more annoyed by the booking of him rather than
for a while? For a while, I think that's a very solid argument. But there, you know, again, we're at this stage now where he's worked Roman like 4 times on the bounce, 4 or 5, and it's like, okay,
7 one-on-one matches.
Yeah, on the bounce. I meant, like, yeah. I think it's still 4 in a row, which is insane. But, you know, so it's like, okay, who's next for Brock and where is he at? Because at one point, before Gable Stevenson kind of stalled, I was almost certain that they were going to, you know, rocket him, and it was going to be them at WrestleMania, where it's this one or the one after. But whoever you put with Brock at this stage in his career, he's got so much equity. It really has to be a big deal. You're either really going to make somebody proper like Gunther, or, you know, because surely Brock's days of winning the titles and being the part-time guy, are they coming to a close? I honestly, it's very hard to call with Brock. He's in a weird place.
I think he's more of a special attraction guy. He's going to be more of like filling that spot that The Undertaker had at WrestleMania. It's not the street type of match, but kind of like the special attraction type of match. That's why I don't think it's going to be Gunther. I think they're going to keep the Intercontinental Championship on him and finally have a great match for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. Because when was the last time any of us said that wasn't a ladder match? I think we got to go back decades. So put Gunther in there with Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. That's the type of show-stealing match that the Intercontinental title needs to further develop this. Because it's good what they're doing right now, but it really matters when it comes to these big events. You have to have the Intercontinental Championship on the show. And Gunther just won it in June. I can see him holding it up until next year's WrestleMania.
Ryan Klotz says Lesnar versus Riddle receipt match. I would like to remind people when I was at the Rumble, I did break that news of the backstage coming together of Lesnar and Riddle, where Lesnar said he would never work with Riddle. Although Seth Rollins said the same thing, and they're pals now. So, or pals is maybe strong.
Co-workers.
They're peers. They're
Colleagues.
working together.
Colleagues.
There you go. And then Queen Monet says Brock versus Edge is interesting for some reason. Protect Edge's neck at all costs, Monet.
That's a good shout. Brock and Edge is interesting, but the problem with that is how do you do the match without Brock doing the stiff stuff
What Brock
that he
does. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's the problem.
And they have to find some type of medium because Brock's matches tend to go 5 to 10 minutes and Edge's matches tend to go 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
So they got to find some type of middle ground there. It's like Triple H versus Brock. They didn't find any middle ground. Those matches were very long drawn out.
But do you remember, I always remember in 2001, 2002, and they would talk about Goldberg and Austin is the match that people want, right? They would always, Goldberg and Austin, that'd be great. And I understand why Austin did this, so this is not me slating him for it before people think. But after the neck injury, I always found it really difficult to get invested in Undertaker Austin matches because he couldn't take the last ride, he couldn't take the tombstone. So you really only had the choke slam, which wasn't viable as a finish. So I was never really able to get invested in their matches. If Goldberg and Austin had had a match, there's no way Goldberg would have been able to do the jackhammer or any of the stuff. So I feel like with Edge and Brock, it's like if he can't do any German suplexes and has to go easy, I feel like it would be more disappointing to people who would want to see all that stuff that they've played out in 2K22 or whatever.
I should have done Triple H and Edge when Edge first came back, and like 2 hour Iron Man.
God, imagine them at that empty arena WrestleMania having that last man standing match for 40 years.
I always see if I was a wrestler in my 40s, I would be so happy to have a great 12-minute match.
Yes.
Call me the king of the 12 minutes. I mean, well, I've been called that before, but that's multiple times. But Brock is. Who in their mind goes, do you know what? I really want to wrestle for 40 minutes and people enjoy it. 40-minute matches are bad for the most part. I mean, some people think they're great. You lose me. I mean, I remember being, this will make you laugh. I once went to a Dragon Gate show, right? Fuck me. Wow. So it was vile, absolutely vile, because it was just tombstones and Canadian destroyers, and I'm sure somebody gets set on fire. And then somebody won with a roll up. What? It just makes no sense. So
they got you.
That's how I felt. I was watching GCW this weekend, and it was like Joey Janela versus Cole Radrick putting each other through chairs and doors, and then Joey Janela won with the roll up. I was like, Kenny McIntosh would be ripping his hair out.
Furious.
Furious. It's the most protected move in wrestling. That's deadly. A good roll up.